1 year passed on Velar-7. The colony had changed. It was not something you could see right away, not in the buildings or the mines or the streets. But you could feel it in the air. You could see it in the way people walked, in the way they talked to each other, in the small moments of kindness that had become common where once they were rare. Human and Tauran children played together now. They went to the same school, where teachers from both species taught them about history, science, and art. They celebrated each other's holidays, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Brel had become one of Yuna's closest friends. The Tauran boy who had once mocked her traditions now defended them fiercely. When new colonists arrived and made jokes about human customs, Brel was the first to correct them. When someone suggested that Christmas was just a silly Earth holiday, Brel told them the story of what had happened, of the guardian who had risen from a snowman to teach them all a lesson about respect. The piece of winter that the guardian had given him had changed him in subtle ways. He could feel the cold differently now, not as an enemy, but as a friend. He understood things about humans that other Tauran could not quite grasp. Sometimes, when the snow fell in a certain way, he could almost hear the whispers of ancient spirits dancing in the wind. Yuna had changed too. She was 13 now, a little taller, a little more confident. She had started teaching the younger children, human and Tauran alike, how to build proper snowmen. She told them the stories her grandmother had told her, about the old traditions of Earth, about the spirits that lived in winter, about the importance of building with love. The crystal figurine that Elder Doran had given her sat on her windowsill, catching the light of the twin suns each morning. Next to it was Brel's heartstone, which she had kept as a reminder of how friendship could grow from forgiveness. And in the center of the colony, the giant snowman still stood. It had not melted. It had not fallen. Through storms and seasons, through hot days when the twin suns beat down hard, through cold nights when temperatures dropped far below freezing, the giant snowman remained. Some people said it was magic. Others said it was the special snow of Velar-7, which did not melt like Earth snow. But most people knew the truth. The snowman stood because something wanted it to stand. Something old and powerful and full of love. On the morning of the second Christmas Eve since the awakening, Yuna woke early and walked to the giant snowman alone. The colony was still quiet, most people still sleeping or just beginning their day. The snow crunched under her feet as she approached the towering figure. "Hello," she said softly. "I know you can hear me. Grandmother told me you always can." The snowman did not move. Its stone eyes, each as big as Yuna's head, stared straight ahead at nothing and everything. "A lot has changed since you woke up," Yuna continued. "The Tauran and humans are really friends now. Real friends, not just people who live near each other. Brel is like a brother to me. His family celebrates Christmas with us, and we celebrate their holidays with them." She reached out and touched the snowman's base, feeling the packed snow beneath her gloved hand. "I wanted to thank you," she said, "for what you did, for waking up when we needed you, for showing everyone that our traditions matter." The wind picked up slightly, swirling snow around her feet. Yuna smiled. "I thought so. You were listening." She stood there for a while longer, just being present with the giant snowman. Then she heard footsteps behind her and turned to see Taiho approaching. Her brother was 17 now, tall and strong, working part-time in the mines while finishing his studies. He still had that protective look in his eyes, but it was softer now, tempered by the changes of the past year. "Talking to the snowman again?" he asked. "Talking to what is inside the snowman," Yuna corrected. Taiho nodded. He did not question such things anymore. How could he after what he had seen? "Dad asked me to find you," he said. "People are starting to gather for the preparations. They want you to lead the ceremony tonight." Yuna blinked. "Me? Why me?" Because you are the one who started all of this. Because you are the one who built the first snowman. Because the Guardian chose you. Taiho smiled. And because you are good at it. Yuna looked back at the giant snowman. For just a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of blue in its stone eyes. A sign, an approval. "All right," she said. "I will do it." The ceremony that night was the biggest celebration Velra 7 had ever seen. Every human and every Tauren in the colony gathered around the giant snowman as the twin moons rose. Lights had been strung between the dome houses, red and green and gold and blue. The smell of food filled the air, dishes from Earth and dishes from the Tauren homeworld, blending together in a feast that represented both cultures. Yuna stood at the base of the giant snowman, wearing her grandmother's scarf and holding the ice crystal figurine. Beside her stood Brel, and beside him stood the friends they had made over the past year. Human and Tauren children together. 1 year ago, Yuna began, her voice carrying across the gathered crowd. Something amazing happened here. Something that changed all of us. A snowman woke up and taught us a lesson about respect, about traditions, about what it means to be truly strong. She looked around at the faces watching her. Human faces, soft and round, with eyes of many colors. Tauren faces, scaled and sharp, with golden eyes that glowed in the moonlight. All of them listening. All of them part of something bigger than themselves. Humans have been building snowmen for thousands of years, Yuna continued. We did it when we were still living in caves, trying to survive winters that could kill us. We did it because we needed to believe in something. We needed to feel that even the coldest, darkest times could have beauty and joy. She held up the ice crystal figurine, letting the moonlight catch it and send rainbows dancing across the crowd. And we brought that belief with us across the stars. To every world we settled, to every moon and planet and station, we brought our traditions. Not because we are stuck in the past, but because these traditions carry our hope. They carry our strength. They carry the memory of everyone who came before us. Brel stepped forward and spoke. The Tauren did not understand this at first. We saw human traditions as weak, as silly, as a waste of time. We were wrong. His scale shifted to a warm orange color, a sign of happiness and contentment in Tauren culture. Now we know that traditions are not weakness. They are the opposite. They are what make us who we are. They are what connect us to our ancestors and to each other. The humans taught us this, and we will never forget. Elder Doran's voice rose from the crowd. A year ago, I asked the Guardian if there would be peace between our peoples. I did not know what form the peace would take. But I know now. He gestured at the gathering, at the mixed families and laughing children, at the decorations that blended human and Tauren styles. This is peace. Not just the absence of fighting, but the presence of understanding. Not just living near each other, but living with each other. This is what the Guardian wanted us to learn. This is its gift to us. Yuna nodded. And we honor that gift tonight. Every year, on Christmas Eve, we will gather here to remember. We will remember the lessons we learned. We will remember the Guardian who taught us. And we will build snowmen together to show that we still carry hope in our hearts. She knelt and began to roll a ball of snow. Brel knelt beside her, his clawed hands working clumsily but eagerly. Other children joined them, human and Tauren together, building snowmen all around the giant figure that watched over them. The adults joined in. Even the oldest Tauren, those who had never touched snow for play in their lives, learned to roll and pack and shape. They made snowmen of all sizes. Some traditional Earth style, some with Tauren features. Some that mixed both in wonderful new ways. As the hours passed and the twin moons crossed the sky, the area around the giant snowman filled with smaller snowmen. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. A whole army of snow figures, each one built with love and care. Each one a prayer to the spirit of winter. And just before dawn, as the first light of Christmas morning began to glow on the horizon, something happened. The giant snowman's eyes flickered blue. Not the bright, fierce blue of the Guardian's rage. A gentle blue, warm despite being cold, soft and kind and full of love. Una felt it before she saw it. That connection she had felt a year ago, thin as a thread of ice, pulled tight for just a moment. She looked up at the giant snowman and smiled. "Merry Christmas," she whispered. The blue light spread. From the giant snowman to the hundreds of smaller snowmen around it, a wave of gentle blue passing from figure to figure. For just a moment, every snowman in the colony seemed alive, seemed aware, seemed to be watching and blessing all who had built them. Then the light faded. The snowmen were just snowmen again. Piles of packed snow with stone eyes and stick arms and borrowed scarves. But everyone had seen it. Everyone had felt it. The Guardian was pleased. Jiwan found his daughter in the crowd and hugged her tight. "Your grandmother is watching," he said. "I know she is. She is so proud of you." Una hugged him back, tears freezing on her cheeks. "She taught me everything," she said. "I am just passing it on." Ho joined them. Then Brel and his family, then more and more people, until it was one great embrace. Human and Tauren together, celebrating not just Christmas, but something bigger. Then another. Then a Tauren adult joined in, making the clicking sound that was their ve. The dawn of Christmas Day on Velris 7 was unlike any the colony had ever seen. The twin suns rose slowly over the ice mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The snow that had fallen during the night was smooth and untouched, covering the colony in a fresh white blanket. And everywhere, people were waking up changed. Una woke to find her father already in the common room, staring out the window with a cup of warm drink in his hands. Taiho sat nearby, looking at something on his tablet, but not really seeing it. They both looked tired, but also different. Lighter, somehow, like a weight had been lifted. Did it really happen? Taiho asked when Una joined them. "Last night. The creature, all of it." Una held up her grandmother's scarf. This was around its neck. Now it is here. It happened. Jiwan turned from the window. His eyes were red, like he had been crying, but he was smiling. "Your grandmother used to tell me stories about the winter spirits. I always thought they were just stories. Beautiful stories, but just stories. They were real," Una said simply. "All of it was real. Grandmother knew." "Yes," Jiwan said. "She knew. And now we know too." A knock at the door interrupted them. Taiho stood quickly, his protective instincts kicking in, but Una was already moving. She opened the door and found Brel standing outside. The Tauren boy looked different in the daylight. His scales were still the same dark blue and purple, but there was something in his eyes that had not been there before. Something softer, more open. Behind him stood Voss and Tarek, both looking nervous and uncomfortable. "May I come in?" Brel asked. His voice was quiet, respectful. Una stepped aside to let him enter. Taiho watched with narrowed eyes, ready to act if needed, but Jiwan put a hand on his son's shoulder. "Let us hear what he has to say," Jiwan said. Brel stood in the middle of their common room, looking around at the simple human home. He saw the decorations for Christmas, the small tree made of synthetic materials, the pictures of Earth on the walls. He saw a photograph of Una's grandmother, an old woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. "I came to apologize," Brel said. "Properly. Not because I'm afraid of the creature coming back. Because I was wrong." He reached into his coat and pulled out something small. It was a crystal, pale blue and perfectly clear, about the size of his palm. Inside the crystal, light seemed to dance, making patterns that looked almost like falling snow. "This is a heartstone," Brel explained. In Tauran culture, we give them to people we have wronged. It takes a piece of our own warmth and holds it. By giving it away, we show that we are willing to be cold so that others can be warm. He held it out to Yuna. I know it is not the same as your traditions. I know it cannot fix what I did. But I want you to have it. Yuna took the crystal carefully. It was cool in her hand, but not unpleasantly so. The dancing light inside seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Thank you, she said. This is beautiful. It is the least I could do. Brel looked at the photograph of Yuna's grandmother again. The creature showed me things last night, not just visions in the air. After it gave me that piece of winter, I had dreams. I saw your people, humans, building snowmen for thousands of years. I saw children giving their own scarves to snow figures because they did not want the snowmen to be cold. I saw families singing songs in the middle of terrible winters, keeping hope alive even when everything seemed lost. He shook his head slowly. I did not know. I thought humans were weak because you do not have scales or claws or natural weapons. But you are not weak. You are just strong in a different way. Voss and Tarek had edged into the doorway, listening. Voss spoke up, his voice hesitant. We wanted to apologize too, he said. We followed Brel because we thought he was right. We thought making fun of human traditions was just fun. We did not think about how it would feel. We did not think about what it meant. We would like to learn, Tarek added, about Christmas, about why it matters to you. If you would be willing to teach us. Yuna looked at her father and brother. Jiwon nodded slowly. Taiho still looked suspicious, but he did not object. Come in, Yuna said. All of you. It is Christmas morning, and nobody should spend Christmas alone. What followed was one of the strangest and most wonderful mornings in the history of Valorous 7. Yuna and her family shared their Christmas traditions with the 3 Tauran boys. They explained about the gifts, about the special food, about the songs and stories. They told them about Earth and why humans had left, about carrying pieces of home across the stars. The Tauran listened with genuine interest. They asked questions, sometimes confused by concepts that humans took for granted, but always respectful. Brel was especially curious about the snowmen. So the creature, he said, the winter spirit. It comes from the snowmen? Not exactly, Yuna said. The snowmen are like doors. When we build them with love, we create a connection to something bigger, something that has been with humans since the beginning of winter. The creature is part of that. A guardian, like it said. Does every snowman have a guardian inside? Yuna thought about this. I do not know. Maybe. Maybe not. Grandmother said that the spirits are everywhere, in every flake of snow, in every cold wind. But they only wake up when they are really needed. Or when something threatens what they protect. I threatened what they protect, Brawl said quietly. I almost destroyed something sacred. You did not know. That does not make it right. Yuna nodded. No, but knowing now means you can do better. That is what grandmother would say. The past is frozen, like ice. We cannot change it, but the future is like snow falling. We can shape it into whatever we want. The morning passed quickly. Word spread through the colony about what was happening. In the Yuna's home, and soon other visitors began to arrive. First came Brel's mother, Kessa, with his younger siblings. Then other Tarn families, curious and cautious, but willing to see for themselves. Jiwon welcomed them all. He told them about Christmas on Earth, about the history of the holiday, about what it meant to humans. He did not try to convert them or convince them to celebrate the same way. He just shared Dot, and the Torn shared back. They talked about their own traditions, about the ceremonies they held during the long nights of their homeworld, about the stories they told their children. Some of these traditions were similar to human ones, about light and darkness, about family coming together, about hope surviving in hard times. By noon, The small dome house was overflowing with people. Someone brought food, then more food. Someone else brought musical instruments. The humans sang Christmas songs, and the Taurans sang songs from their own world. And somehow, impossibly, the music fit together. The old Tauran elder, Dorn, arrived in the afternoon. He walked slowly through the crowd, his ancient eyes taking everything in. When he reached Yuna, he stopped and bowed his head slightly. "Young one," he said, "you have done something remarkable. In one night, you have done more to bring our peoples together than 30 years of treaties and agreements." "I did not do anything," Yuna said. "The creature did it. A snowman." "No," Doran said. "The creature showed us what was possible, but you made it real. You chose to forgive when you could have demanded punishment. You chose to teach when you could have turned us away. These were your choices, and they matter." He reached into his robe and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. "This is for you. A gift from the Tauran people to the human child who taught us about Christmas." Yuna unwrapped the cloth and gasped. Inside was a figurine carved from ice crystal. The same material as Brel's hard stone, but shaped and polished with incredible skill. It showed a snowman, perfect in every detail, with 2 human children standing beside it and 2 Tauran children on the other side. All 4 children were holding hands, and the snowman seemed to be watching over them. "It is beautiful," Yuna whispered. "It will never melt," Doran said. "It will last forever, a reminder of this day and what it means." Yuna held the figurine close to her heart. Around her, the party continued, humans and Tauran laughing and talking and sharing. Through the window, she could see that more snowmen were being built outside. Not just by human children, but by Tauran children too, their clawed hands clumsy with the unfamiliar work, but determined to learn. And standing at the edge of the colony, just visible through the falling snow, she thought she saw a figure. Tall and white, with eyes that glowed faintly blue. It was not the giant creature from last night, not the terrifying guardian of winter. It was smaller, gentler, almost like an ordinary snowman. It raised one arm in what might have been a wave. Then it was gone, lost in the snow. Yuna smiled. "Merry Christmas," she whispered. The afternoon turned into evening, and the party showed no signs of stopping. More and more colonists joined, until it seemed like the whole population of Velris 7 was crowded into the human section of the colony, celebrating together. Someone suggested they build a giant snowman, bigger than any snowman ever built, as a symbol of their new friendship. The idea caught on immediately. Humans and Tauran worked side by side, rolling massive balls of snow, stacking them carefully, decorating the figure with things from both cultures. When it was finished, the snowman stood 20 feet tall. It had human features but wore Tauran decorations. It had stone eyes like the traditional snowmen. The snow around them began to glow. Not the harsh blue of the creature's eyes, but a softer light, warm and golden, like sunlight through clouds. The colonists who had gathered, human and Tauran alike, watched in wonder as the light spread across the ground, up the walls of the dome houses, into the sky itself. And then the visions came. They appeared in the air like living paintings, made of snow and light and something older than both. Everyone could see them. Everyone could feel them. The first vision showed Earth. It was a world of green and blue, of forests and oceans, of mountains that touched the sky. But the vision focused on winter, on places where snow covered the land in thick white blankets. It showed children running through the snow, their breath making clouds in the cold air. It showed them building snowmen. "This is where it began," the creature said, its voice carrying to every ear in the colony. "Thousands of years ago, when humans first learned to survive the cold. They were small and weak. They had no scales to protect them, no natural warmth to keep the ice at bay. But they had something else." The vision changed. It showed ancient humans huddled in caves, shivering against the winter wind. They had only animal skins to wear, only small fires to warm them. Outside, the snow fell endlessly, burying the world. They had each other, the creature continued. They had hope, and they had traditions. A child in the vision crawled out of the cave. She was small and thin, her face red from the cold. But she smiled as she gathered snow in her hands, shaping it into a rough figure. Her family watched from the cave entrance, too tired to stop her, too curious to look away. The first snowman was not made for worship, the creature said. It was made for joy, a child's joy, simple and pure. She gave the snow a face so she would have a friend in the cold. She gave it arms so it could seem to reach for her. She gave it her own scarf so it would not be cold. Yuna felt tears on her cheeks. She did not wipe them away. And something heard, the creature said. Something old, older than humans, older than the cold itself. The spirit of winter, which had always been harsh and uncaring, felt something new. It felt love. For the first time in all the ages of the world, winter knew what it was to be loved. The vision showed the child's snowman beginning to glow, just faintly, just enough to push back the darkness around it. The people in the cave felt a little warmer. The wind outside seemed a little less cruel. From that day forward, humans and winter were bound together, the creature said. When humans built snowmen with love, winter remembered that love. When they gathered in the cold to share warmth and hope and joy, winter protected them. Not always, not everywhere, but enough. Enough to let them survive. Enough to let them grow. The vision changed again. Now it showed humans spreading across Earth, building cities and ships and machines. It showed them looking up at the stars and dreaming of what lay beyond. And always, in every place they went, they brought their traditions with them. When humans left Earth, they carried winter in their hearts, the creature said. They carried me. Every snowman ever built, every song ever sung around a warm fire, every gift given on a cold night, all of it lives inside me. I am the memory of human winters. I am the guardian of their oldest traditions. The creature looked down at Brel, who was still on his knees, his golden eyes wide with wonder and fear. And you tried to destroy that, it said. Not just a pile of snow. Not just a silly tradition. You tried to destroy thousands of years of love and hope and survival. You tried to destroy what makes humans human. Brel's mother, Kessa, pushed through the crowd of Tarm watching. She was tall, even for her kind, with scales that shimmered silver in the strange light. She stopped beside her son, placing a hand on his shoulder. Spirit, she said, her voice trembling, my son is young. He did not understand what he was doing. Please, show mercy. The creature studied her for a long moment. You call me Spirit. You ask for mercy. But do you understand what your son tried to destroy? Do any of your people understand? We do not celebrate the way humans do, Kessa admitted. We do not build figures in the snow or give gifts on special days. Our ways are different. Different is not wrong, the creature said. I do not ask you to be human. I do not want you to abandon your own traditions. But I ask you to respect what you do not understand. I ask you to see that different does not mean worthless. The visions in the air changed one more time. Now they showed Velris 7, not as it was, but as it could be. They showed human and Tauran children playing together in the snow. They showed families from both species sharing meals, sharing stories, sharing the warmth that came from true friendship. They showed snowmen standing next to ice sculptures in the Tauran style, different but equal, both beautiful in their own way. This is what could be, the creature said. If you choose it. The vision faded. The golden light dimmed. The creature shrank slightly, still tall but no longer towering over the dome houses. It looked less like a monster now, and more like what it truly was, a snowman, brought to life by love and memory and ancient magic. Brel finally stood. His legs were shaking, and he needed his mother's support, but he stood. He looked at Yuna, really looked at her, maybe for the first time ever. "I am sorry," he said. The words came out rough and broken, but they were real. "I did not know. I thought humans were just weak. I thought your traditions were just foolishness. I was wrong." Yuna walked toward him. The crowd held its breath. She stopped in front of him. This Tauren boy who had been so cruel, who had mocked her and tried to hurt her. "My grandmother used to say something," Yuna said. "She said that the cold teaches us who we really are. In the warmth, everyone is kind. But in the cold, only those with true hearts stay warm." She held out her hand. "Today is cold. What kind of heart do you have, Brel?" Brel stared at her hand. His mother watched him, her scales shifting with anxiety. The whole colony watched, human and Tauren together, waiting to see what would happen. Slowly, carefully, Brel reached out and took Yuna's hand. His skin was cool and scaled, strange against her soft human palm. But his grip was gentle. "I do not know," he admitted. "But I want to learn." The creature made that thunder laugh sound again. "Good. Learning is the beginning of wisdom." An old Tauren male pushed through the crowd. He was the colony's elder, a being named Doran who had lived for over 200 years. His scales were faded with age, but his eyes were sharp. "Dardian," he said, using a word from the ancient Tauren language that meant something like honored spirit. "You have shown us much tonight. You have shown us that we were wrong to dismiss human traditions. But you have also frightened my people. Children are crying. Families are afraid. Will there be peace now, or must we fear you?" The creature was silent for a moment. Then it did something unexpected. It bowed, lowering its massive head toward the old Tauren. "I came in anger," it admitted. "When I felt the threat to my child, to the one who built me, I woke in fury. That was perhaps not the wisest choice. Fear is a poor teacher." It straightened and looked around at the gathered colonists. "I will not apologize for protecting what I love. But I will say this. I am not your enemy. I have never been anyone's enemy. I exist to remind humans of where they came from, of what makes them strong. I exist to guard their hope in the darkest, coldest times." The creature reached up and touched its neck where Yuna's grandmother's scarf still hung. "This scarf belonged to a woman who crossed the stars carrying me in her heart. She died here, on this frozen moon, far from the home she loved. But she passed her memories to her son, and he passed them to his daughter. And that daughter built me with love." It looked at Yuna. "As long as humans remember, I will exist. As long as they build with love, I will wake when I am needed. That is my purpose. That is my promise." Jiwan stepped forward, Taiho beside him. They stood with Yuna, a family united in the face of something they did not fully understand, but knew they were part of. "We will remember," Jiwan said. "We will always remember." The creature nodded. "Then there is nothing to fear. Not from me. Not from winter. Not from anything that comes in the cold." It began to shrink slowly, the snow of its body drifting down like gentle falling stars. But before it became too small to see, it turned to Brel one last time. "Young one," it said, "you asked how you could learn. Here is my gift to you." It breathed out a cloud of glittering ice, and the ice swirled around Brel, not hurting him but filling him with something. He gasped, his scales flashing through a rainbow of colors. "I have given you a piece of winter," the creature said. "A small piece, barely a whisper. But it will help you understand. It will help you feel what humans feel when they stand in the snow and remember home." Brel touched his chest, where the cold had settled. It was not painful. It was almost warm, like the memory of something good. "Thank you," he whispered. The creature smiled, an expression strange on its icy face. "Thank Yuna. Thank the girl who chose mercy when she could have chosen revenge. Thank the humans who carry hope, even in the darkest cold." And then it was gone. The snow fell to the ground, ordinary snow once more. The only sign that it ever existed was the old red scarf, lying in the snow where the creature had stood. Yuna picked up the scarf and held it close. Around her, the colony was silent. Then, slowly, a human child began to clap. Christmas Eve came to Velris 7 with a strange stillness. The wind that usually howled through the valley had gone quiet. The snow that usually fell in thick sheets had stopped. Even the machines in the mines seemed to hum more softly than usual. The human section of the colony was bright with lights. Colored bulbs hung from dome houses, blinking red and green and gold. Somewhere music played, old songs from Earth about snow and bells and joy. The smell of special food drifted through the recycled air, sweet and warm. The Torrent section was dark and quiet. They did not celebrate Christmas. They did not understand why humans made such a fuss over one day out of the year. To them, it was just another example of human strangeness. Yuna spent the day with her family. Her father, G1, had taken time off from his work in the mines. He wore a sweater that had belonged to Yuna's grandmother, red with white patterns, slightly too small for him now. Taiho helped cook dinner, following recipes from Earth that had been passed down for generations. "Your snowman looks good," Jiwan said to Yuna, looking out the window. "Your grandmother would be proud." Yuna smiled. The snowman stood where she had built it, untouched since yesterday. She had been worried the Tauran children would come back and destroy it, but they had not. Maybe they were bored. Maybe they had forgotten. Or maybe they were planning something worse. As night fell, the family ate together. They exchanged small gifts, simple things made by hand or traded for in the market. Jiwen gave Yuna a book of Earth stories, very old and precious. Taiho gave her a carved figure of a bird, made from a crystal he had found in the mines. Yuna gave each of them something she had drawn, pictures of Earth as she imagined it from their stories. "It is beautiful," Jiwan said, looking at her drawing of a forest in autumn. "You have never seen these things, but you draw them like you remember." "Grandmother showed me," Yuna said. "In my dreams sometimes." Jiwan and Taiho exchanged a look but said nothing. They were used to Yuna saying such things. By midnight, the family had gone to bed. The colony was silent. The lights still blinked outside, but the streets were empty. Everyone was sleeping, dreaming of warm things, waiting for Christmas morning. But not everyone was sleeping. Brel moved through the shadows between dome houses, his scales shifting to dark gray to help him hide in the night. Behind him came Voss and Tarek, equally quiet. They had waited all day for this. They had planned it carefully. "There it is," Brel whispered, pointing at Yuna's snowman. "The stupid human ice figure?" The snowman stood in the pale light of the twin moons, its stone eyes staring at nothing. The old scarf around its neck moved slightly in a breeze that had just started to blow. "Let us destroy it completely," Voss said. "Not just kick snow at it. Let us make sure it can never be rebuilt." Brel nodded. He reached into his coat and pulled out a heated blade. It was a tool used in the mines, designed to cut through ice and rock. Against a snowman, it would be devastating. "I will cut off its head first," Brel said. "Then we will melt the rest." The three Tauren walked toward the snowman. Their footsteps crunched in the frozen snow. Somewhere in the distance, a warning alarm gave a single beep, as if the colony itself was uneasy. Brel raised the heated blade, orange light glowing along its edge. He aimed at the snowman's neck, just above the old red scarf. "Goodbye." "Human tradition," he said with a laugh. He swung the blade, and the snowman's eyes flickered blue. Brell's arm stopped in midair. Not because he wanted to stop, but because he could not move. His whole body was frozen in place, every muscle locked tight. Behind him, Voss and Tarek made choking sounds as the same force gripped them. The snowman's head turned slowly. The sound it made was terrible. It was the sound of ice cracking on a deep lake, the sound of glaciers shifting in their ancient sleep, the sound of winter itself waking from a long dream. "You mock the old ways," the snowman said. Its voice was not loud, but it filled the air completely. It was the voice of wind through empty places, of cold that had no end. "You mock what you do not understand." Brell tried to scream, but no sound came from his throat. His eyes, wide with terror, watched as the snowman began to change. It grew taller. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. Its body twisted and reformed, snow swirling around it like a living storm. Its arms stretched long and thin, ending in fingers of ice that looked sharp as knives. Its face shifted, becoming something ancient and terrible. With those blue eyes burning like cold stars, Voss managed to break free from whatever held him. He turned and ran, screaming in the Tauran language, a sound of pure fear. Tarek followed a moment later, leaving Brell alone with the creature. "Please," Brell managed to whisper. The word was small and broken. "Please, I did not know." "You knew," the creature said. It leaned down, bringing its face close to Brell. This close, Brell could see that it was not made of simple snow. There were shapes moving inside it, like shadows, like memories. He saw images of children laughing, of families gathered together, of snowmen standing in fields and yards and parks, across a world he had never visited. Earth, the human homeworld. "You knew that what you were doing was wrong," the creature continued. "You knew it would hurt the child who built me. You did it anyway. For fun, for pride, because you think being cruel makes you strong." "I am sorry," Brell said. Tears were freezing on his scaled face. I am sorry, I am sorry changes nothing." The creature straightened to its full height. The storm around it grew stronger. "But perhaps fear will teach you what kindness could not." It raised one hand, and the wind became a screaming thing, full of ice and fury. Snow whipped through the colony, covering windows, burying doors. Alarms began to sound from every dome house. Lights flickered and died. Inside her home, Una sat up in bed. She heard the wind, heard the alarms, heard something that might have been Brell screaming. She walked to her window and looked out. The creature stood in the center of the colony, towering over the dome houses. It was beautiful and terrible, like a god of winter come to judge the world. Around its feet, she could see Brell on his knees. His scales now pale white with terror. Teho appeared at her door. "What is happening? What is that thing?" Una watched the creature. It did not look at her, but she felt that it knew she was watching. She felt a connection to it, thin and strange, like a thread of ice connecting her heart to its cold core. "It is the snowman," she said quietly. "That is impossible." "I told you," Una said. "I told you they remember. I told you they wake up." Ji-Won joined them at the window. His face was pale, his hands shaking. He had heard his mother's stories too, long ago. He had thought they were just stories. "What do we do?" Taiho asked. Una was already putting on her coat. "We go outside." "Are you crazy? That thing will kill us." "No," Una said. She wrapped her grandmother's scarf around her neck, the twin of the one she had given the snowman. "It will not. I built it with love. It knows me." She walked to the door and opened it. The cold hit her like a wall, but she stepped through anyway. Behind her, she heard her father and brother calling her name, but she did not stop. The creature turned its head to watch her approach. Those burning blue eyes followed her every step. The wind died down slightly, As if waiting, Una stopped in front of Brel. The Tauren boy was crying now, really crying, his whole body shaking with sobs. Around them, doors were opening. Humans and Tauren alike were coming outside, drawn by the noise and the impossible sight of a giant snow creature standing in their colony. "You came," the creature said to Una. Its voice was softer now, still ancient but almost gentle. "I knew you would. I built you," Una said. "Grandmother taught me how." "Yes, your grandmother knew the old ways. She carried me across the stars in her heart, in her memories. When you built my body and gave me her scarf, you gave me a home again." Una looked at Brel. "What will you do to him?" The creature was silent for a long moment. Snow swirled around them, carrying whispers of old songs and older magic. "That depends," it finally said, "on what you want me to do." Una felt the weight of that question. She looked at Brel, who had been cruel to her, who had mocked her traditions, who had tried to destroy the thing she had built with love. She could ask the creature to hurt him, to punish him. Part of her wanted to, but another part of her, the part that remembered her grandmother's warm hands and gentle voice, knew that was not what Christmas was about. "Let him go," she said. The creature tilted its head. "Are you certain? He would have destroyed me. He would have destroyed your memories, your traditions, everything you hold dear." "I know," Una said, "but hurting him will not fix that. It will just make more hurt." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the creature made a sound like distant thunder. It was laughing. "Your grandmother chose well," it said. "You truly understand." The force holding Brel released. He fell forward into the snow, gasping for breath. He did not try to run. He did not try to fight. He just lay there, broken and afraid, while the giant creature made of winter looked down at him. "But there is still a lesson to be learned," the creature said. "Not from pain, from truth." It raised its hands, and the world changed. The frozen moon of Velris 7 was not a kind place. It was cold all year round, with snow that never melted and winds that could cut through the thickest coat. But humans had learned to live in many places, and this frozen moon was just another home for them now. The colony sat in a valley between two great ice mountains. There were dome houses made of strong metal and glass, roads cleared of snow every morning, and lights that glowed warm against the endless white. About 3,000 humans lived here, working in the mines below the ice where precious minerals waited to be found. But humans were not alone on Velris-7. The Tauren had been here first. They were tall beings, almost 8 feet high, with scales that changed color with their moods. Their eyes were large and golden, and they moved with a strange grace that made humans feel clumsy. The Tauren did not need warm clothes like humans did. Their scales kept them comfortable in the cold. For 30 years, humans and Tauren had shared this moon. They worked together in the mines. They traded goods in the market. They even helped each other when storms came. But they were not friends. Not really. The Tauren thought humans were strange and weak. Humans thought the Tauren were proud and cold, not just in body but in heart. Una was 12 years old, and she had lived on Velris 7 her whole life. She had never seen Earth, the home planet of humans, but her father talked about it often. He told her about blue skies and green trees, about oceans so big you could not see the other side, about rain that fell warm in summer. But most of all, he told her about winter. Winter on Earth was special, her father Jiwan would say, his eyes getting soft and distant. The snow would fall gently, covering everything in white. And we would build snowmen. Una loved hearing about snowmen. Here on Velris 7, there was plenty of snow, but nobody built snowmen. The humans were too busy working, too tired at the end of the day. And the Tauren did not understand the point of shaping snow into figures. To them, it seemed like a waste of time, but Yuna remembered every story her grandmother had told her before she passed away 2 years ago. Her grandmother had been born on Earth, had built hundreds of snowmen as a child, had carried those memories across the stars when she came to Var 7. Snowmen are not just snow, her grandmother used to whisper. They hold our love, our hopes, our memories. They watch over us in the cold. Never forget that, little Yuna. Never forget. Today was December 23rd, and Yuna had decided to build a snowman. Her older brother Taiho watched her from the doorway of their dome house. He was 16, tall for his age, with worried eyes that always seemed to be looking for danger. Since their mother had left to work on another colony 2 years ago, Taiho had taken it upon himself to protect Yuna from everything. Sometimes this was helpful. Sometimes it was annoying. You know the Tauren kids will make fun of you, Taiho said. Yuna did not look up from her work. She was rolling a ball of snow, pushing it across the ground to make it bigger. Let them. They broke Minho's ice sculpture last week. Just smashed it because they thought it was funny. This is different. How? Yuna stopped rolling and looked at her brother. Her eyes, dark and serious, held something old in them. Grandmother told me snowmen are different. They remember things. They know who builds them with love and who treats them badly. Taiho sighed. He loved his sister, but sometimes she said strange things. Grandmother told you lots of things. That does not make them true. Maybe not, Yuna said, returning to her work. But maybe yes. The first ball of snow was now as high as Yuna's waist. She started on the second one, smaller, for the middle of the body. The snow on Velra 7 was perfect for packing. It stuck together easily, and it sparkled in the light of the distant sun. She was almost finished with the second ball when they came. There were 3 of them. Tauren children, though they were bigger than most human adults. Brel was the leader, a young male with scales that shifted between dark blue and purple. He was 14 in Tauren years, which was almost the same as human years. Behind him walked Voss and Tarek, his constant followers. Look at this, Brel said, his voice making the strange clicking sounds of the Tauren language. He spoke in the common tongue so Yuna would understand. The human child plays in the snow like a baby. Yuna kept working. She did not look at them. What is that thing? Voss asked, pointing at the snowballs. Is it a shelter? It is too small, even for a tiny human. It is a snowman, Yuna said quietly. The 3 Tauren looked at each other and burst into laughter. Their laughter was strange to human ears, like rocks tumbling down a hill. A snow man? Brel stepped closer, his golden eyes bright with amusement. Humans worship ice sculptures now? Do you pray to it? Do you ask it for help? It is not worship, Yuna said. It is tradition. For Christmas. Ah yes, Christmas. Brel said the word like it tasted bad. The human holiday where you give each other gifts and pretend to be happy. How primitive. Taiho stepped out of the doorway now, his hands forming fists at his sides. Leave her alone, Brel. Brel's scales shifted to a darker shade, a sign of annoyance among Tauren. Or what, human? Will you fight me? You know your kind is not built for fighting. You are soft and slow and weak. He does not need to fight, Yuna said, finally looking up at Brel. Her voice was calm, her eyes steady. And you should be more careful how you speak about things you do not understand. For a moment, something flickered in Brel's eyes. Something like uncertainty. But it passed quickly, replaced by scorn. I understand perfectly, he said. Humans are stuck in the past. You drag your silly traditions across the stars instead of evolving. Instead of becoming stronger. He kicked at the snow near Yuna's half-built snowman, sending white powder spraying across her work. This is what your traditions deserve. Voss and Tarek laughed and joined in, kicking more snow, ruining the smooth surface Yuna had worked so hard on. Taiho started forward, but Yuna caught his arm. "No," she said. Let them. The Tauran children grew bored after a minute. There was no fun in destroying something when the builder did not cry or scream. Bro gave Yuna one last look of disgust and walked away, his followers behind him. "We will be back tomorrow," he called over his shoulder. "And we will knock down whatever stupid thing you build. Every time. Until you learn." When they were gone, Taiho turned to his sister. "Why did you stop me? Why did you let them do that?" Yuna knelt in the snow and began repairing the damage. Her face was calm, but her hands worked with purpose. "Because grandmother told me something else," she said. "She told me that snowmen remember cruelty too. And when the time is right, they wake up." Taiho shook his head. "That is just a story." Yuna smiled, small and secret. "We will see." She worked until the sun set, placing the 3 balls of snow on top of each other. She found round stones by the frozen river and used them for eyes. She took a piece of broken pipe for the nose. And last she took her grandmother's old scarf, faded red with gold edges, and wrapped it around the snowman's neck. The snowman stood in front of their dome house, looking out at the colony with its stone eyes. It was simple, maybe even ugly, but Yuna thought it was beautiful. That night, the twin moons of Velris 7 rose full and bright. Their light fell on the colony, on the sleeping humans and Tauran, on the dome houses and the mines in the frozen valley, and on the snowman. Standing alone in the cold dot, if anyone had been watching, they might have seen something strange. They might have seen the stone eyes flicker, just for a moment, with a pale blue light. They might have heard, under the howl of the wind, something like a whisper, but no one was watching, and Christmas Eve was only 1 day away.